Now, nearly 30 years after Tupac Shakur was gunned down on the Las Vegas Strip, one of the biggest murder mysteries in hip-hop history has finally made its way inside of a courtroom. Duane Keefe D. Davis is officially standing trial, accused of helping orchestrate the murder of Tupac Shakur back in 1996. And what makes this case so crazy is that prosecutors aren't saying Keefe D. pulled the trigger himself. They're arguing that he was inside the Cadillac, helped obtain the weapon, and played a major role in setting everything in motion after Tupac and his entourage attacked Keefe D's nephew, Orlando Anderson, earlier that night. But here's where things get very interesting. For years, Keefe D talked openly about that night. He discussed it in interviews, detailed his version of events in a book, and previously spoke to investigators under a proffer agreement. Now, some of those very statements are in the center of this case against him. And once this trial got underway, things started getting heated quick. We're going to break down what happened, starting with day one, what prosecutors say they can prove, what Keefe D's defense is arguing, and then we're going to get into Mob James taking the stand, because even though Mob James clearly has no love for Keefe D, he's made it clear that helping the government put another man behind bars goes against his principles he's lived by for years. So let's get into these courtroom clips, because after 3 decades, we're finally watching the Tupac murder case play out right in front of our eyes.
We now have Mr. Davis. He's present in custody with Mr. Samp. Anything we need to address outside the presence of the jury from either party?
Nothing from the state.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hopefully you were able to get everything situated over the long weekend, and we look forward to proceeding with trial. Before we get started, we do need to have you sworn, so if I could have you all stand and raise your right hand, we'll proceed with that.
You and each of you do solemnly swear that you will well and truly try the case at issue and a true verdict render according to the evidence, so help you God? Yes. Thank you. You may be seated.
All right, thank you, Jessica, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, we're going to turn to opening statements. Mr. Plall, are you ready to give your opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning. On September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur came to Las Vegas to attend a Mike Tyson fight. After the fight, Tupac, along with Suge Knight, Trayvon Lane, and other people that were with that group, ran into a person named Orlando Anderson. And Orlando Anderson is the defendant's nephew. And when they encountered Orlando Anderson sitting by himself, they attacked him. That attack was captured on video. Then, a few hours later, Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight drive down Flamingo Road to Club 662, where Tupac is scheduled to perform a concert. Then 2.5 hours later, after Tupac and Suge engaged in the beating of Orlando Anderson, they are gunned down. Tupac is gunned down in a drive-by shooting from a white Cadillac in an act of revenge. During those 2.5 hours, you will learn that the defendant was escalating and planning the retribution for the beating of his beloved nephew. Now, let's be clear. Duane Davis did not pull the trigger. But what he did do was plan the retaliation for the beating of his nephew. You will learn that Duane Davis got the gun. You will learn that he got into a white Cadillac. You will learn when the opportunity presented itself for retribution, Duane Davis made sure that the shooters were armed and ready to execute their revenge. And remarkably, you will learn that from Duane Davis himself.
And see, this is where that talking too much has got this man in trouble. Like, Keefe D was a part of one of the biggest murders of all time. And then the fact that you going around on different interviews talking about it, like you clearly mocking the police, like you clearly mocking law enforcement. They is not going to let that slide. Now, let's get into more of these clips, because they're going to actually break down how the Mob Piru and the Southside Compton Crips, how this war started back when everybody got into Compton after the murder of Tupac Shakur. Let's get into it.
What we learn is that Compton is about 10 square miles. But in the mid-1990s, those 10 square miles were occupied by over 30 gangs claiming its territory. And important to this case, there are 2 gangs, Mob Piru and the Southside Compton Crips. Let's talk a little bit about the Mob Piru. The Mob Piru is a group that associated with the color red. And you'll hear that Suge Knight, the person who was driving Tupac Shakur that night, grew up in the neighborhood of Mob Piru. But by the mid-1990s, he had become a very successful CEO of the record label Death Row Records. despite or maybe because where he came from, you'll hear that Suge Knight continued to employ mob Piru gang members as part of death row. They would act as unofficial security, and other times they would engage in, let's call them other acts on behalf of Suge Knight. But Death Row in the mid-1990s was one of the most successful record labels around. They had artists such as Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and of course, Tupac Shakur. And in 1996, Tupac Shakur was maybe the largest and biggest, most successful rapper around. He had just released All Eyes on Me, a double album that was met with huge success. Additionally, Tupac Shakur was a movie star, having appeared in a number of movies in critically acclaimed roles. He has, at times, been referred to as an icon. But for the purposes of this case, what you need to know is that Tupac Shakur was not a gangster. He was a hip-hop artist associated with the mob Piru. Now, the other gang that's important to know here is the Southside Compton Crips. And when it comes to Southside, Duane Keefe D. Davis was the leader of the Burris Street faction of the Southside Compton Crips. And while Suge Knight rose to prominence in his neighborhood due to the money that he was bringing in through the music industry, Duane Davis rose to prominence in his neighborhood because he was a very successful, large-scale drug trafficker. And you will learn that that is how one moves up in the world of gangs, by bringing in money to the neighborhood. The other thing you'll learn is that Orlando Baby Wayne Anderson was his nephew, and also a highly respected member of the Southside Compton Crips. Now, as part of this case, you're going to hear another name, Eric Zip Martin. Now, Eric Zip Martin is not a member of the Southside Compton Crips. In fact, he's based out of New York. He's involved in the drug trade and knows Duane Davis as a result of both their involvements in the drug trade. Duane Davis from the West Coast, Eric Zip Martin from the East Coast. And one of the connections that Duane Davis gets through his association with Zip Martin is with Sean Puffy Combs, who was then the CEO of Bad Boy Entertainment. Sean Combs wanted some security when he came out to the West Coast. He was worried about mob Piru. He was worried about the members of Death Row Records. And so Duane Keefe D. Davis agreed to be around to act as unofficial security for Sean Combs and his artists when they came out west, in order specifically to ensure there were no problems with mob Piru and Death Row Records. And this took a rivalry between mob Piru and Southside Compton Crips and escalated it.
Now, listen right here. Now, Mob James pretty much gave the prosecutor a piece of his mind. He let them know, like, listen, I'm not no little boy. You're not going to be telling me I got to tell you what it is. If you ask me a question, I'm only answering these questions so I don't get fined. Simple as that, in the words of Marshawn Lynch. Now, listen what Mob James had to say, because like I said, he gave the prosecutor a piece of his mind, and he's just a stumped down gangster. I give him what it is. You know what I'm saying? He let him know how he feel.
At the time you live in Compton, you go back to Compton, and you tell us that there was a lot of tension. Can you describe that for us when you went back in terms of what kind of tension we're talking about?
You sure you want me to answer that?
Is it going to be graphic?
No, I ain't gonna. I got to raise the word in it, but you asking me a question. I don't. And what I explained to them, I don't want to send him to prison.
Sure.
Even though we don't like each other.
Sure.
I don't want to send you to prison. So that's why I'm here where I'm at and where I am, because I changed my life. I'm raising my grandkids, teaching them never to be like their papa. And here I am explaining to people what I used to be. And I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that at all. And you asking me questions that can hurt him. And like I told them, I'm trying to avoid to answer the questions that they might look at me and say, something is wrong.
Well, let me put it this way. Let me help you out with this.
Thank you.
So these people right here, what they want to know from you is, did you see who shot Tupac?
I told you no.
Correct. So outside of that question, right, the next question I'm asking you is, when you went back to Compton, was it like a Southside Crip shoots a Piru Blood, and then a Piru Blood shoots a Southside Crip? Is that the tension that we're talking about?
Do I answer this?
That's a straightforward question. It's a yes or no answer.
Okay.
Did you see that?
When I was a part of that life, I was a part of that.
Once again.
And I was, no, because you asking something that's going to hurt this dude. And Okay, let me stop.
And once again, I want to emphasize.
When we got back to Compton,
Okay.
it was a gang war. People were getting hurt.
Okay.
People was being sought. People were looking for certain individuals from his neighborhood,
Okay.
as well they did mine.
Okay.
But Orlando, him, and certain other people were being assaulted because people wanted to kill them.
Sure. Were they the only ones that they wanted to kill?
Am I the only one up in here? No, they weren't the only one. It's his neighborhood in particular.
That's right.
But they were the main subjects of a gang war. They was in the middle, such as me.
So you're telling us that people back home somehow had some type of information that said that that guy, as a bunch of other people, were involved in what?
In the murder of Tupac.
Okay, but my question to you,
Stop.
can you focus on me for a second, sir?
Yeah, I will.
And I apologize. I just want to make sure that we're clear, okay, for these people. In terms of that information, none of those people were there, right?
What people you be speaking on? The people that was already in the neighborhood, or the people that left Las Vegas that same night Tupac was shot to go home, bear their arms, and go to somebody else's neighborhood
Right.
to look for somebody. They had to pay it back.
So once again, my question to you is that the information that I'm asking about is the people that back home, you're saying were eyewitnesses to this?
How could people back home be eyewitnesses to something that happened in Vegas? No, that's not what I'm saying.
The people that were here in Las Vegas, listen to my question, sir. The people that were here in Las Vegas, you're telling me were eyewitnesses to what happened and went back home. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you, the people that was at
Just
662.
answer my question, sir. Yes or no.
I can't
Is it
answer
a
that
yes or no?
without a what you call it. You trying to tell me to say something that you're not going to understand. If you let me explain to you,
No, answer my question.
I'm not answering nothing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. McDonald, focus for a second.
I am focused, very.
Focus on this. My question to you is this. You didn't know what happened that night because you weren't there.
I was at 662.
Right. Do you know who that was there?
I know everybody that was there.
Okay. Like who?
Talk to your lawyer, man. This dude is tripping. I'm not going to explain that. I can't answer that. Like I explained to everybody in here. You ask me something, I'm going to be honest about. You ask me something I don't want to talk about, you're going to have a problem. Treat me as a hostile witness. You're not going to talk to me and tell me as a grown man what I have to do up here. I'm not going to send him to prison. You are.
So the accusation now is because of the fact that we're trying to ask you questions, you're blaming it on me.
You asking me questions. If I just like answer your questions, we're going to have a problem in here, a misunderstanding. And you're asking me something that wouldn't be good with him.
Right. And once again, I just want to, look, we're just trying to figure out who shot Tupac. You're telling us that you weren't there at the scene. That's all I want to know. At the end of the day, that's it. Right?
Was I in the entourage when Tupac got shot? No.
Okay. Nothing else, right?
I was at 662. I mean, that ain't hard. That's easy math.
No further questions, John.
All right, so there y'all have it. Nearly 30 years after Tupac Shakur's murder, we're finally seeing this case play out inside of a courtroom, and there's still a lot left to unpack. But I need y'all to let me know what y'all think down in the comment section down below. Do y'all feel like Keefe D's years of interviews and public statements ultimately came back to haunt him? And after everything we've seen in the trial so far, how do you think this whole thing is going to end? Drop your comments down below. Also, I need y'all to hit that subscribe button for your boy. We almost have 5,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate y'all watching. Also, if you watch it right now, go ahead and hit that like button for your boy. When you hit that like button, it's going to be a hype button also that pop up right there. Go ahead and smash that. That's how you help small creators like me get into the algorithm. Also, if you're watching these kind of videos and you want to watch another good video, go ahead and tap into one of the ones that I got right here somewhere on your screen. Somewhere here, or here. Also, more importantly, hit that subscribe button. But I'm going to catch y'all in the next episode. Peace. And we out.